Okay, thank you everyone for joining me today for today's presentation, Sitecore 8, the marketer's business case for upgrading. Just a few housekeeping rules before we begin today's presentation. We are going to have some time at the end of today's presentation for Q&A, so if you would like to ask a question, please type your question using your chat box on the right hand side of your screen. If we're unable to answer your questions, I will get back to you in a day or so with an answer. Today's presentation is also recorded, and I will be sending a copy of the recording in the next couple of days. So without further ado, just straight into today's presentation. We've got quite a bit covered today. So some of the areas that we're going to cover today as we go through why you should be looking to upgrade, or if you're unsure why you should be looking to it, or if you're on the actual latest version but not using some of the product. So, if you're on an older version, we're going to look at why you should upgrade. We're going to cover off the importance of strategic planning when looking to manage the upgrade process, but also in terms of aligning your digital plans, your marketing plans with the functionality within the platform. We're going to run through some of the latest features within Sitecore 8, as well as a couple of sneak peeks from the release 8.3, which is coming out in the summer, as well as running through some of the common pitfalls that when we speak to customers come up time and time again. For those of you on the call who are not familiar with Ratio myself, my name is Mario Kiriakou. I'm one of the founders at Ratio Partners. We're a Sitecore partner. We're a digital agency. We work with now about 15 Sitecore customers across a range of different activities, from customer experience optimization to how do we use some of the marketing functionality within the platform, such as testing, automation, personalization, and aligning those with plans, technical audits, just making sure the site is built to Sitecore's technical best practice, so further down the line you can leverage and enjoy some of the functionality within the platform. So different versions. So I can see there's a number of, we got quite a number of people on today's call, and I imagine probably one uniform statistic would be that each person attending today's call is on a different version of Sitecore. So the stat on screen is from Sitecore, and I always find it quite indicative actually of some of the issues around upgrading. 41% of Sitecore's install base is on an older version of Sitecore, so on a pre-8 version of Sitecore. And that causes problems, a little bit like the Android effect of Google releasing versions and customers upgrading to the latest version over time. It creates a two-tier approach within the Sitecore community, where certain customers are on the latest versions and therefore have access to the latest marketing functionality, whereas people on version 6, 7, etc. Can hear all the cool stuff coming out of Sitecore when you look at their blog posts, attend their events, but are unable to leverage some of the cool tools within the latest version because they haven't upgraded. So just to put the different versions into context, I'm not going to go through all the point releases, Sitecore 6 and all the point releases between 6 and 7, but just to give you a sort of high-level overview, going back to Sitecore 6, we work with a number of clients who aren't still on Sitecore 6, even though it's out of support. But if you're on a Sitecore 6 version, in a nutshell, you can probably look at it as more as managing basic web content management. Yes, it's got some the introduction of marketing functionality, but it's a sort of true CMS platform. Whereas if you're on a Sitecore 7 version, they began to introduce sort of the data foundation points for delivering more omni-channel experiences, which in Sitecore 8, if you're on that version, you can begin to reap some of the benefits. So the ability to capture all data within the experience profile, to manage and deliver on-site personalization based on capturing and tracking multiple different touch points from each of your visitors to your site, and beyond to what I imagine is going to come out later on in the year. We've heard a few different rumblings from Sitecore towards Sitecore 9, but we don't have too much information on that yet. So what is the case for upgrading? If you're on an older version, why bother? Is it fine for you at the moment in terms of managing for, your day-to-day content editing roles and uses? Maybe fine, but there is a case. Looking to upgrade allows you to get back onto support if you're on an older version that's no longer supported by Sitecore. The current version of Sitecore 8 from a marketing perspective is a fuller, more robust marketing tool. We're going to talk about it later on, but it allows you to track how individual visitors are interacting across your site from unknown through to transferring from an unknown visitor to a known visitor. It allows for a more seamless cross-channel experience delivery. In other words, how do we use proactive marketing tactics like marketing automation, like personalization, like testing to deliver a consistent message across different touch points, but then bring in a tool like testing in order to test different scenarios in order to keep iterating and improving the experience. Some of the main areas of Sitecore 8, we're going to go through some of the features in a bit more detail later on, but some of the ones that when we speak to clients, come up time and time again is ability to do things like cross-session personalization. So on older versions, you have the ability to do personalization specifically on Sitecore 7, but within Sitecore 8 actually, you have the ability to do far more complex rules, and apply more complex scenarios to different parts of the customer journey. You have the ability to do contextual personalization. Optimization is actually a key one. If you're in a position where you're looking to justify the value of not just digital but the website to drive in value to your business, the optimization tools within Sitecore 8 and Sitecore 8.1, 2 plus, etc., for me is one of the key differentiators and actually one of the key drivers when you're looking to build a business case. If you're looking to move beyond just say a static website but using optimization to truly test different experiences for different customer segments, for different personas, to in a nutshell, improve the front-end experience for the benefit of driving more conversions and more revenue and driving more value for the business. If you're looking to build a business case, actually using the optimization tools as a way of building a business case to show we can improve the value of digital to the business and driving business value is, for me, one of the key ways. So what are the dangers of not upgrading? Well, there's lots of different ones, but some of the, I suppose, the key three ones that we see come up time and time again is versions are no longer supported. So you could be on an older version of Sitecore and it's now out of support. Depending on what version you're on, it may have already gone out of support, or it may be going out of support in the next 12-18 months. I've got a link on the screen now. Not the most user-friendly URL, so I'll send it around afterwards, but you can check online your current version to see when your current version goes out of support. Alternatively, I'm sure your account managers at Sitecore can be of assistance. If you're on an older version of Sitecore, you lack access to the latest marketing functionality. So if you attend Sitecore's Experience Day next month, you may hear Sitecore talking about some of the latest tools and some of the latest tips and tricks you could apply to these tools to improve your marketing. You won't have access to some of these tools. And ultimately, you're already paying for it. If you're paying in annual maintenance, you have the right, and you're paying for the right to access the latest version of Sitecore. If you haven't upgraded, the question is always, why are you paying your maintenance? But we disagree with that. I mean, if you're paying your maintenance, you're paying it for a good reason. You're paying for it because you're buying into a long-term roadmap of Sitecore, and that entails as the product upgrades and iterates, you have access for it. Yes, you need the plan for it. And budget for it, and we'll talk about that later on throughout the presentation, but that's one of the key attributes of buying into the Sitecore platform, that there's a defined roadmap and you've bought into, so why not take advantage of it? So why don't more organizations upgrade? Well, there's many different reasons. we don't have an upgrade strategy. That could be both from a marketing and technical perspective. From a marketing perspective, we don't have a plan for using the tools. From a technical perspective, we haven't actually physically planned out how we're going to do the upgrade. Some customers leave quite a long gap. We're working with one customer in particular who's on a iteration of version 6, and now they're looking to move to the latest version, but that length of period between upgrades, it causes further problems down the line. So it increases the risk of upgrade, but also increases possibly the length and complexity of the upgrade. You don't budget for upgrades. Customers, perhaps at the initial point of buying the license, haven't really thought through that they will need to plan into their budgets over the course of, of a year, etc., and further on, additional budget to pay for that. Or perhaps the money comes directly out of the marketing budget and you prefer to allocate that to more customer acquisition tools. Sometimes customers purchase third-party tools to achieve some of the functionality within Sitecore. So for example, one that comes up quite common is something like testing. So perhaps you've gone and already bought a Qubit or an Optimizely. It's fine if you have, but if you've already bought into the platform, you pay for the maintenance, you may want to upgrade and do a comparison, or start using the features within Sitecore before making a case for purchasing a third-party tool. And some customers don't see the benefit of upgrading. If you're managing your day-to-day content editing requirements using your current version of Sitecore, you may not see or feel the reason to invest time and budget and effort into moving up to the latest version. But the number one reason we seem to find that customers don't look to upgrade is they're not sure how to align marketing strategy with technology to target and engage customers. And I know that can sound a little bit fluffy, but in a nutshell, what it really means is customers are still trying to define or looking to define how they use their website to engage with visitors, how they look to convert, nurture, and push them further down the funnel to ultimately purchasing their companies, wares and services. Some of the challenges we see with customers is they haven't aligned that sort of customer engagement strategy with mapping it against the technology. In other words, how are we going to engage with customers on site, and what functionality within the latest version of Sitecore enables us to engage with those customers, and therefore can we then use that to build a business case to upgrade and obtaining resources from the business. But a lot of it is in the planning. So a quick question, do you have a plan to get the most out of the marketing platform? Now, this applies to people on the call who are maybe on the latest version of Sitecore, as well as people who are on older versions. It's an equally relevant question. Just upgrading to the latest version is, in my opinion, irrelevant unless you have an idea or a plan to get the most out of the tools. And what do we mean by that? Well, really the two areas are strategy and technology. I'll leave optimization for another day. So strategy, how are you going to engage with customers? Do you know how they interact with you? Do you have the tools to collect and that data, the way they're interacting with your site? Some of that may be around connected marketing technology. So for a lot of customers we speak to, they rarely have a single source of truth in terms of how the customer interacts with their business. It's normally siloed out into different databases. So for example, common one is your website versus your, for B2B companies especially, CRM data, where you have relevant customer information spread across those two different systems. Do we have a way of connecting that data? So we can extract exactly how customers are interacting with you as a brand, from marketing right through to sales. And then when you're looking to design that optimal customer experience, you can do that based on the customer insight you hold within a customer. And when we're looking to build a case for upgrading the Sitecore 8, we're going to talk later on about the Sitecore experience profile as a way of tracking how customers or how individual visitors are interacting with your site and consuming your content. So what are the main areas to plan for? So when you're looking to build a business case for upgrading, a lot of the times customers can be thinking about it from a technical point of view, but actually I like to think of it as an opportunity to define or redefine sometimes your digital strategy. So have you defined user journeys? Have you defined the customer segments, the most valuable customers? Have you built personas? Because we can look to build those into the platform. Have we identified and mapped your content against these customer segments? In other words, a content audit. So we can identify what content we have spread across your entire digital sites, your digital properties, which are relevant for your different customer personas, customer segments at different points of the customer journey. And then looking further forward for being more proactive. And when we're looking to build a case and for upgrading, it's about have we built a case for how we're going to use the tools further down the line. For example, have we defined how we're going to use testing and personalization? Have we built a plan, a way of starting to use that? Because when you're looking to build a business case, businesses are focused on how we can improve, increase our revenue, for example, or your charity, how can we increase donations or customer engagement. Looking to use the tools within the platform to proactively engage with your customers in order to achieve these business goals is something, A, to build a case around, but also to plan for before you upgrade. And if, like many marketers, email marketing is a core part of your marketing function, have you also mapped your email marketing plans against the different customer segments, against your content that you have across your site, that you have within the business, and have you mapped this to the technology? What can you achieve within Sitecore's marketing email tools, so email experience manager, within the automation tools, so we can begin to map out richer automation plans. Because when we're talking about why to upgrade, I like to think of it as visualizing a simple funnel journey. So if we look at on the screen, we have attract, engage, convert. This is a fictional journey, but the idea is when we're looking to build a business case, your customers don't travel across a linear journey. They engage with you and interact at different points. They consume content. They do different things. A problem with a lot of businesses is they're not sure who is interacting and how customers are interacting across your digital properties. Sitecore 8 allows you to track these individual visits, how they're consuming data, how they are interacting with campaigns and which campaigns, so we can begin to build up a profile of what customers have been doing, so then we can then build a plan, an action plan on how to proactively engage with these different segments with the right messaging and the right content. So we're going to talk a little bit around now some of the tools within Sitecore 8. You may be familiar with some of these. So we're just going to run through some of the ones which I feel, if you're looking to upgrade, are some of the things you could be taking advantage of further down the line. Plus we'll have a quick sneak peek at some of the tools which are going to come out in 8.3 later on in the summer. But you may be familiar with the experience profile. Sitecore talks quite a lot about it. If you're not familiar with it, it's one of the core really benefits of upgrading to Sitecore 8. Within Sitecore version 7, you were collecting a lot of this information, but within the latest version of Sitecore, you have the ability to visualize that data within the equivalent of a, if you're familiar with CRM contact card, the website equivalent of a CRM contact card, a way of visualizing and articulating how an individual visitor is interacting with different types of content, which campaigns have been driving them to the site, which channels have driven them, what goals have they triggered across your web pages, what profile do they match, as well as putting in data from different systems. We're going to be talking around CRM integration in a second. But really, this is sort of the foundational, sort of data foundational point we like to talk about really with customers looking to upgrade. If you know who your customers are and what they're doing, it allows us to target them with a more relevant experience. Now, this isn't necessarily about knowing who every individual is as a name. The majority of visitors to your site will remain unknown, but we still have a sort of rich stream of information around what they're doing and how they engage it. And obviously, when they look to convert, fill in a form, for example, we can allocate a name and then pass that information off to our CRM. But if you're looking to build a case, it's one of the core benefits. Two-way CRM integration. This may not sound like a particularly sort of cool marketing feature, but actually I think it's one which is kind of undervalued actually. For a lot of organizations who use CRM as, I suppose, that single source of truth within the business of how sales is, I suppose, is succeeding or not succeeding, as the case may be, it could be actually quite a clever way. So if you're looking to prove or build a case around how the site is driving value to your business, you may be one of those marketers who hears from sales, that the website is a PR tool and not a business driving tool. Two-way CRM integration allows you to begin to pull web data into into Microsoft Dynamics, but it also works with other CRM systems as well. So we can begin to pull in marketing data and align it with sales data, so we can begin to attribute some of the value that's being driven by sales back to specific marketing channels. Again, it's not necessarily a short journey, it happens over time, but if we can begin to pull that data of how customers are interacting with you as a business, it allows you to begin the case of extracting data, running an analysis on it, just beginning to prove that customers are interacting with campaigns and they're contributing towards driving them towards an eventual sale. But it's two-way as well. So we can begin to pull out data from a CRM system, from a contact record, and personalize the on-site experience based on how customers are interacting with your business offline, but also allows us to personalize the on-site experience based on information that we hold about them that we don't necessarily hold within your website. And we can also begin to pull that data to enrich the experience profile as well. Sitecore Experience Accelerator. You may have heard quite a bit of talk around this. In a nutshell, the Experience Accelerator allows you to wireframe websites quickly from a UX point of view in order to speed up the process of creating sites. So from an upgrade perspective, some of the clients we've spoken to who are on much older versions of Sitecore have decided that the simplest and quickest way is to start afresh on the latest version of Sitecore. So using something like Sitecore Experience Accelerator allows you to manage that process and manage the upgrade process and quickly, or reduce some of the time. So if you was estimating to take X amount of time, something like the Experience Accelerator to allow you to pull out some of the pre-built components to begin the wireframing and design the site, it allows some of the clients to speed up the process of upgrading. So if one of the business cases is sort of can we improve the upgrade, or improve the speed of the upgrade, it's quite a nice way. One of the things which is not talked about that often is the email tool within Sitecore. So Email Experience Manager 3.4, which is the latest version. We think this is kind of a unloved tool. We know that previous versions of Email Experience Manager have had technical problems over the years. I don't think we should get away from that. So I think when you're looking to build a business case, actually, one of the kind of the key reasons for a lot of the people we speak to is getting onto the latest version of the Experience Manager. I'm not going to run through some of the tools and functionality of the email tool does. If you're familiar with the majority of email platforms out there, you will, I think, have a pretty good idea of it allows you to create emails, upload HTML from perhaps your designers have built. It allows you to extract reports, or do A/B tests on the emails, etc. One of the key things actually is a lot of the previous problems with EXM have been solved in the latest version. So it's a far more robust tool. So if you're looking to sort of justify the upgrade, if you're using a third-party email tool at the moment and you're therefore paying a separate license cost, you may want to do a calculation on how much money you could potentially save by using the tool within the platform, because ultimately you're paying for it as part of your maintenance. So you may want to look to do a test with or play around with the latest version and then compare it with whatever third-party tool you have in order to decide whether it justifies using it going forward. Path Analyzer is something that came out in Sitecore 8. I think in the 8.2 version that came out earlier in the year, they did a few iterations, improvements to this around funnel analysis. In a nutshell, it allows you to visualize how customers are interacting across different channels or different pages. In reality, it can be quite difficult to use this tool because it's almost like too much data. Where we find it useful is if you have defined user journeys, you can use the tool to visualize some of these specific user journeys, so we can apply sort of optimization techniques in order to increase the conversion. Ones that we come across quite often is for customers, campaign journeys, where it will be a much more limited number of pages, therefore the data we can pull out is more useful, and therefore we can determine the conversion rate across different multiple pages and apply personalization testing, etc. So it's worth having a little play around with if you're on the latest version. If not, it could be quite a good tool if you're looking to build it into a sort of an optimization plan. We've heard that in the summer, when Sitecore releases 8.3, that marketing automation is going to have an update. We always felt that marketing automation was one of the first unloved parts of the product. It's one of my favorite parts. I mean, as a business, we talk a lot about personalization and on-site optimization, but actually one of my personal favorites is always optimizing email marketing because of the value it drives for businesses. Within the latest version that's coming out over the summer, the UI, so the user experience, has been improved within Sitecore's marketing automation system. If you're familiar with using tools like Pardo, you'll be quite comfortable with it. Drag and drop to create user journeys, which will then trigger automated emails. But actually, as with EXM, if you're using a third-party tool and therefore paying a third-party tool's license, you may want to build this into your business case for upgrading, the potential cost saving for using Sitecore's own tool, but also to gain access to it as well. Web forms for marketers. Really unsexy topic, not something you hear too often from sort of marketing agencies talking around, the excitement around forms. But actually, for most businesses, forms is super important. And I think it's fair to say that with the older versions of web form for marketers had far less marketing functionality and control over the look and feel and the sort of robustness or what they could do with forms, especially if you're looking to link them to automation plans, etc. I haven't got too much details on sort of what we get within the latest version because it hasn't been released, but we've been told that it's had a complete rewrite and there'll be a lot more marketing functionality, so it's something that we're looking forward to having a play around with. Migrating. One of the reasons why a lot of customers don't or put off the upgrade process for quite long periods of time is because it can be quite complicated, quite difficult. So Sitecore, sort of in reaction to some of those problems within the market, have released a express migration tool, and as it says on the tin, it's designed to facilitate the migration of content from an older site, an older version, to the latest version. It doesn't, just to be clear, it won't, a drop of a button, take you from an older version to the latest version, a la a Microsoft, Windows update. It's not as simple as that. What it will look to do is identify what within the old version can be upgraded, and it will upgrade that. So it won't upgrade 100% of your previous version, but if it can manage 30-40% of the migration process, when you translate that into time and cost savings, it can make the process more efficient. Things to be aware of, as with lots of websites out there, you will have a lot of customizations across your site, so the migration tool won't be able to migrate or manage those individual customization parts of your website. But again, it's not designed for that. It's designed to migrate what it can, and if it can reduce by 30-40% the time period to migrate in, if one of the problems building a business case is the complexity and the cost, it can go part of the way towards rectifying that problem. Well, that brings us to the end of today's session. We've got a bit of time for Q&A, so I'm just going to have a quick look to see what questions we have come in. Okay, the first question, what's the average time it takes to upgrade? It's a difficult one to answer because there isn't one answer. It will be dependent on what version you currently are on Sitecore. It will be dependent on how complex your current site is, whether you have integrations with different systems, e-commerce tools, CRM systems, etc. So it could vary from a short period of time to a relatively long period of time. There is no way of knowing without having to look at your individual installation. So it will vary from client to client. So it's hard to speak to another client and take if they've been told it would take, say for example, 4 or 8 weeks to migrate. You can't apply that to another customer who may take only 1 or 2 weeks because their system is less complex. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second, see what other questions we have come in. Okay, we've had a question come in. We're considering an 8.1 to 8.2 upgrade to make use of EXM 3.4. Is it worth it, you think? Yeah, I mean, again, it's a difficult question to answer. It's dependent. I suppose it's dependent on the type of email marketing you're doing at the moment. So if you're doing quite complex email marketing, you're doing deep segmentation, perhaps you have your email tool baked into a much larger automation system, and therefore you're doing a lot of rich automation plans for nurturing customers, you may want to look quite closely at how you could translate those email plans to the current one, because if for any reason you can't replicate some of your current experiences in terms of say email marketing within the current version, well, the latest version of EXM, then you may not want to consider it, but you may want to have a play around with it. So if you're on 8.1, you have access, I think, to EXM 3.3. So I would really just have a go with the version you have at the moment and do a side-by-side comparison, perhaps run it for a couple of campaigns and just compare and contrast with your current tool. I hope that answers your question. Happy to answer a bit more detail offline if it helps. Okay, we had another question come in. We're on 7.2 and you mentioned having more functionality on personalization on 8. What can't we do now? This is something we come across a couple of times. So If you're looking to do personalization based on returning visits, it's something you might struggle to do on version 7. You can do that on Sitecore 8 out of the box, which is quite helpful when you're looking to create richer personalized scenarios. There are ways around it on version 7, so the way we do it with clients sometimes is literally we create a customized rule, so you can still create personalized experiences for returning visits. It's just it's a line of code which makes it sound really simple, but it's not overly complex, so it's achievable. Are there any other reasons for upgrading? So sometimes with clients who are on older versions but you're still within maintenance, you may discover bugs which you report to Sitecore. Sometimes Sitecore's response is to upgrade to the latest version as the bugs have been rectified in the latest version. So it's kind of Sitecore's way of gently pushing you along the upgrade path. That could be a good thing, or sometimes for clients it can be quite a frustrating thing. But bear in mind you are buying into a roadmap, so it's their way of pushing you along. And also, I mean, it's about being more efficient, I suppose, from their side, but doesn't take away the frustrations, I suppose, when you're client side and you identify a couple of bugs. Okay, that brings me to the end of today's presentation. I hope I managed to answer all of your questions, and I hope the content was useful. I appreciate you taking the time out of your days to attend today's presentation. I know time is precious. Just to let you know, the session was recorded, and I will send it round in a couple of days. So this leaves me to say thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.